approval just months earlier. Her confidence was genuine now, backed by real power and financial independence that nobody could take away from her. The ballroom was filled with the same crowd of business associates and social climbers that Kate remembered from previous years, all pretending to care about charitable causes while actually networking for personal gain and showing off their wealth to impress each other. Kate moved through the crowd with practiced elegance, accepting compliments from people who didn't recognize her while scanning the room for her targets. She spotted Tom first, looking uncomfortable in his rented tuxedo and fidgeting with his bow tie like he always did when he was nervous about making a good impression on important people. He was standing with a group of his father's business associates, trying to contribute to their conversation about market trends and investment opportunities, but Kate could tell from his body language that he was struggling to keep up with their sophisticated financial discussions. Patricia was holding court near the auction display, wearing an expensive dress that she had probably borrowed from a designer friend because the Harrison family couldn't actually afford the kind of luxury clothing they pretended to own. She was telling a group of other wealthy wives about the family's charitable contributions and community involvement, playing the role of gracious society matron while carefully avoiding any mention of their actual financial problems. Richard was working the room like the desperate businessman he had become, trying to charm potential investors and partners who might be able to provide the capital injection his failing company desperately needed. Kate could see the strain in his face, the worry lines around his eyes that revealed how much pressure he was under to save his business empire from collapse. Jessica was standing near the bar, looking bitter and resentful as always, but tonight her usual arrogance was tempered by obvious anxiety about her family's financial situation. She kept checking her phone, probably monitoring business communications, and hoping for good news that wasn't going to come anytime soon. Kate enjoyed watching them struggle through their social performances for several minutes before making her move. She approached the microphone that had been set up for the evening's program of speeches and announcements, knowing that her moment of revelation would be witnessed by everyone in the ballroom, including several local reporters who cover the city's social and business events. The hotel manager introduced Kate as the anonymous benefactor who had been making significant charitable contributions throughout the community, explaining that she had requested to reveal her identity during tonight's event to encourage other wealthy individuals to increase their own charitable giving. The crowd applauded politely, expecting another boring speech from someone trying to improve their public image through strategic philanthropy. Kate stepped up to the microphone and looked directly at the Harrison family, watching their faces change from polite attention to growing recognition to complete shock as they realized who was standing in front of them wearing designer clothes and commanding the attention of everyone in the room. Tom's mouth actually fell open when he finally understood that his ex-wife, the woman his family had treated like worthless trash, was the wealthy philanthropist everyone had been talking about for months. Kate's speech was a masterpiece of subtle revenge wrapped in gracious public speaking. She talked about the importance of supporting education and helping people from modest backgrounds achieve their dreams through hard work and determination. She praised teachers and social workers who chose meaningful careers over financial gain, describing them as the real heroes who made communities stronger through their dedication and service. She announced additional donations totaling $10 million to local schools, scholarships, and community programs, explaining that she believed in investing in people rather than just accumulating wealth for personal enjoyment. The crowd applauded enthusiastically, impressed by her generosity and inspired by her commitment to making a positive difference in other people's lives. But Kate saved the best part of her speech for the end. She talked about personal transformation and second chances, explaining how sometimes the worst experiences in our lives prepare us for the most incredible opportunities we never expected to receive. She described her own journey from being dismissed and undervalued by people who should have appreciated her to discovering her own worth and power to create positive change in the world. Kate looked directly at Tom and his family as she concluded her remarks, thanking everyone who had taught her important lessons about character, integrity, and the difference between real class and fake sophistication. She said she was grateful for every experience that had shaped her understanding of what truly matters in life, even the painful ones that had initially seemed like devastating setbacks. The standing ovation lasted for several minutes, with people throughout the ballroom expressing their admiration for Kate's inspiring story and generous spirit. Business leaders approached her with requests for meetings and investment opportunities. Social organizers invited her to join their boards and committees. Everyone wanted to be associated with the wealthy philanthropist who had captured their imagination with her grace and wisdom. Meanwhile, the Harrison family stood frozen in place, unable to process what they had just witnessed. Tom looked like he was going to be sick, realizing that he had divorced the wealthiest woman he would ever meet because his family had convinced him she wasn't good enough for their mediocre business empire. Patricia's face had gone completely pale as she calculated how much money and social status the family had lost through their treatment of Kate. Richard appeared to be having trouble breathing as he contemplated the business opportunities and financial security they had thrown away through their own arrogance and stupidity. Jessica was the first to recover enough to attempt damage control, approaching Kate with a fake smile and congratulations on her success. She tried to pretend that the family had always recognized Kate's potential and were proud to have played a small role in her journey toward prosperity and happiness. But Kate wasn't interested in accepting false reconciliation from people who had shown their true characters through their past behavior. Kate graciously deflected Jessica's attempts at reconnection, explaining that she preferred to focus on moving forward rather than revisiting past relationships that had run their course. She wished the Harrison family well with their current endeavors, making it clear that she had no interest in resuming any kind of personal or business association with people who had proven themselves unworthy of her trust and respect. The local newspaper coverage of the event was extensive and embarrassing for the Harrison family. The story focused on Kate's inspiring transformation and generous philanthropy, but it also included background information about her previous life as a struggling teacher who had been dismissed by wealthy families who failed to recognize her true worth and potential. People throughout the community began talking about the Harrison family's treatment of Kate, questioning their character and judgment in ways that damaged their reputation and business relationships. Within 6 months, the Harrison family business declared bankruptcy, unable to secure the investment capital they needed to cover their debts and continue operations. Richard's aggressive expansion strategy had finally collapsed, leaving the family with massive financial obligations they couldn't meet. Tom had to take a job working for someone else's company, earning a fraction of what he had made working for his father's business. Patricia was forced to sell most of her jewelry and designer clothes to help cover the family's personal expenses. Jessica moved back in with her parents because she couldn't afford her own apartment on her reduced salary from her new job at a competing real estate firm. The family that had once looked down on Kate's modest teacher salary was now struggling to maintain a middle-class lifestyle. Kate, meanwhile, continued building her reputation as a thoughtful philanthropist and successful businesswoman. She started her own foundation focused on supporting education and helping people from working-class backgrounds achieve their career goals. She bought a beautiful house in the city's most exclusive neighborhood and began hosting social events that attracted influential people who shared her values and commitment to making positive contributions to society. She never married again, choosing instead to focus on her personal growth, professional success, and charitable work. Kate had learned that her worth as a person wasn't determined by other people's opinions or approval, and she was perfectly happy building a life based on her own values and interests rather than trying to please people who were incapable of appreciating what she had to offer. The story of Kate's transformation became legendary in their city, inspiring other people who had been undervalued or mistreated to believe in their own potential for success and happiness. She proved that sometimes the best revenge is simply living well and using your power to help other people rather than seeking to hurt those who have wronged you. Kate's journey from victim to victor demonstrates that our worst experiences can become the foundation for our greatest triumphs, and that real strength comes from maintaining your integrity and values even when other people try to convince you that you're not worth their respect. She showed that money and social status mean nothing without character, and that the people who judge others based on superficial criteria are usually the ones who lack substance and depth in their own lives. Tom and his family learned too late that they had thrown away the most valuable thing that had ever entered their world, and their loss became Kate's incredible gain. Sometimes justice takes time to arrive, but when it finally comes, it can be more satisfying and complete than we ever imagined possible. Kate's story reminds us that we should never let other people define our worth or limit our dreams, because we never know what amazing opportunities might be waiting for us just around the corner. The woman they called worthless turned out to be worth more than all of them combined, and she used her power to make the world a better place for people who had been dismissed and undervalued just like she had been. Subscribe for more incredible real-life stories of justice and transformation.